So this is my presentation on how to get 1 million downloads. And does anyone want 1 million downloads for their apps? We all do. I have a handful of apps I've actually got over 1 million downloads on. And today I'm going to kind of teach you and show you all the things I've learned since the beginning of the App Store, became in existence, and all the tricks that I put into all of my applications. So has anyone seen this presentation before? One person. There'll be some new stuff. Don't worry. Don't worry. I try to keep it up to date. I've boiled it down to 6 easy steps to get that 1 million downloads. And what I mean by that is you can make 6 easy payments to me, made out to cash. So this is what we're going to do. The first thing that we want to do, step 1, is understanding the problem. And I think we all know what the problem is. There's just too many apps out there. It's really difficult to get visibility. With 1.5 million apps across all the different platforms, there's over 1,000 new apps being added every day. So it is very, very difficult to get discovered. And to compound the problem, based on the developers who are providing how they're doing, 80% of them don't make enough money off of apps to actually support a business. 59% of developers don't make enough money to even cover development costs. And let's see, the third one here is 52% of developers set aside $0 for marketing, even though 91% think it's important to success. So interesting stats. If you look at the top earners for apps, they spend an average of $30,000 on marketing. So I'm going to teach you a few things that hopefully will just take your time and you won't have to be cutting a large check to get those downloads. So a few tips here. Make version 1 great. There used to be, back 4 years ago, you would just throw something against the wall and see if it'd stick. Now you really want to put some real effort into that version 1 and really make it shine. And of course, take marketing seriously. Let's talk about what makes a good idea, right? You want to have a good idea before you start investing your time and money in an app. I've used Speak, and I can tell you that's a great idea. What makes a great idea? Is it originality? Is that what does it? You think so? Because I don't think it does. I really don't. And if you look at, let's take music for example, one of the best rock songs of all time, I think, is Stairway to Heaven. And I spent a whole summer trying to learn how to play that on guitar, right? It's actually a knockoff of a song that was released in 1968 by the band Spirit. And I just played it for my friend Oscar today, and he's like, oh, Stairway to Heaven, this is great. No, this was released 3 years, he didn't even know this, 3 years before Stairway was released. Take the Macintosh. Of course, everyone knows the Macintosh story, right? It was a ripoff of Xerox's Star, released 3 years later. But, the Macintosh is what everyone credits to brought the mouse and the graphical user interface to the masses. But it was done before. It was just done better with the Macintosh. Angry Birds, the biggest success that mobile apps, has ever seen, released in December of 2009. I believe over 1.5 billion downloads to date, maybe more. Definitely, when I downloaded that game, I was like, this is amazing. This is original. No. A year and a half before, we had Crush the Castle. And it plays almost identically. It doesn't have the cute birds and pigs, though. So my good idea formula is, first, is it even possible, given the restrictions of the platform you're on, whether it's, mainly I'm talking about the iPhone, but, sometimes you can't even do what you want to solve. So you need to make sure of that. First, can you make it better? Because the chances are the idea is out there already. Someone's already done it. Can you make it better? And will it have mass appeal? I think a lot of people don't think about that too much. They like to do niche targeted things. And I like to build apps that have mass appeal. One of my most famous apps is called White Noise. And so everyone needs to sleep better. So it's an easy sell, right? Do your research. Some of the best research, if you don't have an idea and you're looking to create find an idea, what better place than iTunes top grossing list to see what people are downloading. This is what people are paying for. So right away, looking at that, you know what has mass appeal. And by looking at that, does anyone kind of see a pattern there in the top 100? Games, right? And not only games, what's the price? That's right. Free, but it's top grossing, right? Interesting. Step 3, build something. Now it's time to build something. I'm going to give you a few tips about what you can do with your app to make it better. First of all, I always say go native. I know a lot of people want to bridge the gap between all the different providers and mobile phones by using HTML5. We all know what Zuckerberg thinks about HTML5. It's one of the biggest disasters Facebook ever did, was releasing an HTML5 app for Facebook on the iPhone. You want to showcase the platform you're on. For any other reason, maybe you'll get featured, right? So you want to really showcase it. The only way to showcase it is to use the native APIs that the platform gives you. Go cross-platform as possible. Today, all my new titles, I'm releasing Android and iOS at the exact same time because it's a lot easier to market to both of those audiences and not just pick one. So that's my strategy. If you can do it, you should. If not, definitely start with iOS or Android. That's the most popular platforms. Getting feedback from your customers is key. And I think in my apps, I have a way that you can just email me directly from all of my apps. And I've been doing that for the last 3 years, and I've read a lot of emails. And I can tell you, there's a lot of angry people out there. But there's something interesting about giving them another outlet to write to besides the 1-star "Hey Jerk Store" review that you get, right? You don't want those on your App Store listings. Those are bad. Those hurt your rankings. So by having another outlet there, I think it'll reduce that, because the only ones that are leaving, going and reviewing your app are the ones that really hate you. So by actually having a conversation, and usually the email chain goes like this. They're like, "Hey, you stupid jerk, your app doesn't work." And then you respond back and you say, "Hey, I'm sorry. Let's see if we can fix this." And they go, "I'm really sorry. I didn't think anyone was going to read this." And that's how it always goes, right? So it's kind of cool because they're not always that angry. Thank goodness. So yeah, give them another way to contact you. And you'll see I put in every email that I launch from the app, I put in the app name, the version of the app, the platform you're on. And with Android, I just added the app store you downloaded it from, because that's important too, because you never know what's going on with any specific platform. So that's all important metadata to try to capture. Again, addressing the problem of you usually get the negative reviews and not the positive. It's very, very important to prompt your good users for a rating, a review. How do you do that? Well, I can tell you, I've downloaded some apps where the first thing it did was prompt me to leave a rating. It's like, why would I leave a rating? I haven't even used your app yet. So that's silly. What I do is I try to wait a few days before you nag someone. I try to monitor a few key events. If it's a game, I make sure you play at least 3 or 4 and you seem to be engaged in the game. And then once all of those conditions are met, that's a good time to prompt for a rating. Sharing, we all want to go viral, of course. Make it easy to share your app with others. I always have a way. Do you want to share via email, Twitter, Facebook, all the popular ways? Provide a simple link back to download your app. And of course, you don't have to just share a link to download your app. What I like to do is try to capture a key moment in the game and maybe allow posting a photo to your Facebook wall. My tic-tac-toe game, did I really need to have explosive fireworks going off all over the place when you win? No. But chances are you might post that because it looks cool, right? Step 4 is the pricing, very important. How will you price your app? I'm constantly being dragged into meetings going, help us with this strategy. Do we go free? Do we go paid? What do we do? My general advice is, what are people looking for on iTunes? What are they searching for? What's the most common keyword in existence that people are searching for? So that is why I would go free. I mean, people will add free to every single search they're doing on iTunes looking for a free app to start with. They may pay for something down the road, but I think most people are, let's see what I can get for free, you know? And so with paid apps, the thing that kind of sucks about paid apps is there's a one-time fee and then they get a lifetime of free updates. So, you know, I've had people register for an app for 99 cents and they've gotten 4 years worth of updates. I mean, what a bargain, right? So that's one reason I'm kind of steering away from just the one-time payment. And I've also tried to add in-app purchase to my paid apps. That doesn't really work very well. I think it's better left to have the free app with the in-app purchase. So that's been what I've found is in-app purchase can be kind of difficult because it's like people are just in the mentality, hey, I already paid for this. Why are you going to nickel and dime me? You know, and so that's kind of the situation I try to steer away from now. Free apps, you get more downloads, right? Because it's free. Usually 10 times the downloads when I'm looking at my light version and my full version. Usually I'm about 10 times as much on the free. You get a bit, you know, when you get that big audience, it's so much easier to get a bigger audience, right? There's just a bigger pool of people. It's going to grow faster. And then with free apps, of course, you can get recurring revenue. So some of the ways you can get that recurring revenue is showing ads, banner ads, full page ads. Those actually do fairly well. So you can manage all the different ones. You can use an aggregator like I use MoPub, which does a very good job of kind of putting networks up against each other and maximizing your revenue. In-app purchases, I think, well, you know, iOS, Google, Amazon supports that. You even have affiliate programs like with LinkShare and Amazon. Affiliate programs meaning like if I'm going to promote another app or have you download something, you can get a percentage off of any purchases that they make within the store. So it's a real good program. If you're not using LinkShare, then you're leaving money on the table. Of course, if you're have a large following, you can always plan for the exit strategy, such as the Instagram and the recent mailbox, which was just bought for probably a ton of money, and all they had was buzz. You know, that's all it takes. Step 5, test it. That's really all this step is, but test it everywhere. When I released my last game, you know, I just have a room full of devices, and you have to test it on all the different ones, all the main ones, you know, the most popular Android phones and tablets and all that, the Amazon Kindle and the Nook, if you're going to be in those stores. Well, how did that go backwards? Okay. Oops, sorry. So step 6, how do we promote? It's launch day. How do we promote and really market our app? What are some of the things that I do? Well, the first thing is, of course, that app description. You know, this is the last thing you want to see in your app description. You know, and that's actually like all the text from white noise. But nobody reads. Nobody reads, right? At most, you're going to get a person probably reading 1-2 sentences tops, right? They just want to see some screenshots. So when it comes to the description, try to pretend you're on like the most restricted Twitter app ever. Like you want to boil it down to the fewest amount of words possible because, again, people don't want to read. So it took me a long time to get my app boiled down to 8 words, but I did. And I think it's pretty good because the message tells you a lot, right? It says, well, 1, the world's using this. It's not just a few people. The world is using this. 2, the world is sleeping better. And 3, don't you want to find out how to sleep better? So it's just giving you a lot of messages all in one and hopefully going, yeah, I mean, I want to sleep better. Let me download it. I got it down to 4 words this year, thankfully, thanks to Dr. Oz featuring the app on the show. So now that's my new one-liner. Screenshots, very important. I now like to combine the devices and a little bit of text in my screenshots. I used to just do the blank screen, take a picture of your screen, but I don't think they convey a story as well. So like going through the screenshots, you see that, yes, this is a sleep miracle. You can put it on your nightstand. You get a clock. You wake up looking pretty like that woman. It does all these great things. The icon is very important. My last game, the Tic-Tac-Toe Glow game, I mean, I took 3 days to make the icon. Mainly because I'm not good with graphics, but you want to try a lot of different variations. And I went through okay, this is basically a screenshot of the app to, all right, stealing some word with friends look about it. Until I finally found something that not only looked good full screen on my PC, but also look great on the device. And that was the big issue I had, is I'd make these icons. I'd be like, this looks great. And then you put it on the device and it's like, that looks bad. I mean, because they put the rounded corners, and it really can change the look and feel once you get it on that smaller device, that smaller screen. So spend some time on that, because, you know, people are going to see the icon, they're going to see the app name, they're going to see the screenshot. Those are the three things. And you want to make a really good impression. App discovery. Most people find apps by searching the App Store. Unfortunately, iOS 6 made it very difficult to find relevant apps. And now they return one app at a time, and you get like tennis thumb flicking through, and it's just not easy. It's just not a good experience anymore. So this family or friend, that's just people sharing, hey, this is a great app, try it out. That is probably coming up, you know, it's like, because the search is almost broken. But those are the two ways people find apps. So those are the two things that you really need to focus on. And we already talked about sharing the app, giving a link to all the different social networks and email. But let's talk about searching the App Store. And of course, I'm talking about keywords. And iTunes gives you 100 characters to work with, which is awful. That's not a lot of space. And I like how Amazon does it. Amazon lets you have 30 words, and it doesn't matter how big the words are. With iTunes, it's actually better to use the smallest words possible, because you can use more words. So that's the reason I don't like the iTunes implementation. And Google Play is just, they don't even have keywords. It's just everything. So you get 4,000 characters, and you get the app title, and it'll index all the words there, meaning make sure to fill out that 4,000, you know, character space. You can get a ton of keywords that way. A lot of services are popping up right now to help you with keywords and optimizing your keyword. They call it ASO, same thing as SEO. But check out those App Store rankings, Searchman, Mobile Dev HQ. I've used all of those, and they do give you good analytics on how your keywords are performing, so they're worth checking out. Google Keyword Tool, I still use it. It's a great tool. If you ever use AdWords, it's free. It lets you know what the world is searching for. So chances are, if someone's searching Google, they're probably searching iTunes for that too. So you can actually see and get suggestions for good keywords. So this is really an important part these days, search and optimizing around search. So you'll be spending a lot of time. Definitely check out some of those services, though. They'll open your eyes. Newsletters. I haven't had too much success with newsletters, but they do help. If you do have a large following, I'm able to like send out a notice and get a nice spike, just because I have, you know, over 15,000 email addresses from people signing up. So I mean, if you have enough people, it does work. I use MailChimp, fantastic service. If you don't have a newsletter, just sign up for MailChimp, and they give you like 2,000 things for free. So it's a no-brainer. Cross promotion, this is what I like to do the most. If you have apps that are already downloaded and already popular, and you're already running ads, well, you can easily just sub out that with your own ad. So this is a very good way to do free advertising for yourself. And so I'll constantly have a free version that promotes the full version, or if I launch a new app, I'll just put a new banner ad there. And you know, especially if you're going to pay for advertising, which you can do, it's better to test out your copy, if you will, and see what works best within your own apps. So house ads are great. How do you get your app reviewed? Again, that's important. Nobody wants to download an app without any reviews. Always have a press contact on your website. You know, when Dr. Oz's interns or whatever contacted me, they went through there. They saw I had a press email, and they actually blasted me on Twitter, Facebook, and the email. So they're really good at trying to get hold of you. But I had an answer back with them within an hour. You know, like, you know, do I give permission to show my those screenshots on the television? So, you know, I just said I had to sleep on it. I'll let them know. No, it was great. It was on there. Got probably 100,000 downloads just from Oz, like just saying the name. It was amazing. Bloggers are your friends, and on iTunes you do get promotion codes. So if you have a paid app, you can hand those out. You should. Most of them want a free code so they can review it. I recommend a site called godoats.org. This is a list of all the reviewers that don't accept money. So it's kind of nice. It's like, hey, we're honest. We're trying to be real journalists here. We're not accepting money to write a review. And so that's a good website, good resource. How do you get featured? There's no, formula for that. Although I've been fortunate to be featured numerous times. One of my apps that was featured the most was Glowburst. Had a lot of glowing graphics. So I think if you make your app have glowing graphics, there's someone at Apple that really likes it because they just kept featuring it over and over. So there's nothing better than getting featured. Your app will shoot to the top, especially with Amazon. They do the free app of the day. I did that in January, and I don't think my web server recovered for 3 days after that. I mean, that was more than Dr. Oz. So to be in that in front of that many people for free, I mean, you have to take your paid app and make it free. That's just the most amazing thing. You get a ton of downloads. But with Glowburst, what I did, and I mentioned in the very beginning, going native, you want to support the platform. You want to show off the platform. So what I did is I kind of made that my marquee game where I was going to be supporting iPhone, iPad, before they even were released. So I had this game in the store before the iPad, anyone could have the iPad, and I didn't even know if it was going to run or not because no one had the iPad, but you could run it in the simulator. So I had it in the store before the iPad was released, and they featured it then. And then when they came out with the iPhone 4 with the Retina display, I quickly updated it for that release, featured again. Then when Game Center was released in 4.1, I updated it, put it in there, featured again. So you can see that's a definite pattern. Support their latest and greatest APIs, the latest and greatest things. You'll have a better chance of getting featured. And this last slide is if you do have some money to burn, you can use services like AdMob or Millennial Media here in Baltimore and create campaigns. I've tried it. I've played around with it. I've had good success with it. You have to spend a lot of money. So if you just got $100, just you can just give that to me because that's going to do nothing. So you're going to have to spend thousands of dollars with your marketing to move the dial. But it does work, and unfortunately, the big companies, they just flood the market with money, especially in December. I mean, there's just so much ad money being poured in by the big companies. It's hard to get any fill rates, but it does work. And like January and February is always kind of an opportunity, I guess you would say, for the smaller indie dev because there's not much money being poured into advertising. So you can kind of get a better rate because of that. So my advice to you is only promote the free versions. I like AdMob. It was very easy to use. It's really cheap. You can get it as cheap as a penny a click, so you're paying per click. You're not paying per install, but you hope after like 5, 10, 20 clicks, someone actually installs your app. Definitely create multiple campaigns. Just a little tweak of text makes all the difference in the world. I actually ran a bunch of campaigns on AdMob for the release of Tic-Tac-Toe Glow, and I really thought, like in my mind, I was like, I got it. This is going to work. Tic-Tac-Toe Gone Wild. And I thought that would kill it, because of the girls gone wild. But it did nothing. It did nothing. Like I forget which one, but it wasn't that one. So anyway, make sure that if you are going to spend the money that you use conversion tracking. Conversion tracking lets you know how, not just the clicks, because they'll give you the clicks, but you also want to know if people are installing. And that's the most important metric, the CPI. How much are you paying per installation? How did they do? Good. I was actually impressed with, I've never advertised on the Android side, and I only created 1 or 2 ads on the Android side, and that's the bottom one. That did really well. I was impressed with that. I don't know. The best campaign I ever run was probably 18 cents an install, and I've been told that's impossible to get. But that's just because I tweaked my message for years and boiled it down and got it just right. And so if you have that time to experiment and constantly try new messaging, you can get a good installation. And 18 cents is pretty cheap. I once tried to advertise a paid version, and it was like $3 an install, but I'm only making 70 cents. So I never advertise a paid app. Always do a light version. And app tracking. I think this is the last slide. So really important to know where you are in the world as far as your app goes. App Annie's great. They just added Amazon, I think yesterday. It's in beta. So of all the stores, you know, I focus on iTunes, the Google Play Store, of course, and then Amazon and Nook. So I try to focus on those 4 platforms, and it's really just 2, right? Android, iOS. But App Annie is great. I track all my stuff with that for both Google Play and iOS. I haven't tied up Amazon yet. I'm sure it's going to be good. If you don't like giving your financial data, your sales data to a third party, that's what you're doing. But at least they provide information like how everyone's doing, what's working. I even have slides on that I didn't have time to get to. But they have some really good white papers on you know, what people are doing, what countries are downloading all the apps, and that's good information to know. So definitely read over their stuff. But if you don't want to share that kind of information, AppViz2 is another app I use on my Mac. It'll go out, and it's just for iTunes. It will download all the data locally. It'll download all your financial stuff, keep it locally, and do all kinds of graphs and reviews. The same thing as App Annie. It doesn't do Google Play or Amazon, unfortunately. And with that we've come to the end. You can contact me via email. There's my Twitter. I do a tech show with my buddy Oscar Santana back there, and we talk all things apps, and it's we talk a lot about apps. We promote an app every show. If you've got an app that you're looking for promotion, you can certainly email me. If it fits the show, we'd be happy to feature you on it. I have a book. So if you're getting into iOS, a great way to learn the platform is by building simple games, and that's what the book does. Steve Wozniak was nice enough to write the foreword and endorse it. Great guy. And with that, that's it. Thank you so much.
All right. Stay there, Todd. Great stuff. We got time for a few questions.